very distasteful and unacceptable that we have responsible public officials who are trying to do spin doctoring and tainting the image and reputation of the honorable members of the opposition as if to suggest that we are doing something that is illegal when we have no control whatsoever of the administration of the National Assembly. If they are so desirous of ensuring that we are not paid because we're not attending sittings, dissolve the parliament. And I dare the president do so today. I dare him do so today.
The opposition continues to stand firm on their decision not to return to Parliament to offer an extension of the government's life. Parliament is slated to reconvene on October 10. Action will be taken against the Customs Anti-Narcotic Unit officer who was recorded during an apparent attempt to extort a traveler at the Chedijagan International Airport after claiming that a quantity of marijuana was found in her luggage. Public Security Minister Kemraj Ramjatan made this disclosure.
Well, I understand that they were departmentally disciplined. I haven't seen the report yet, but I understand they've sent it to me. I have been so busy over the last couple of days, Wednesdays, Thursday, and Friday. But I think that the report will be on my desk sometime. And generally, what is recommended by the investigators, I go along with.
CANU has recommended the immediate dismissal of the rank who was recorded during an apparent attempt to extort the traveler. In a statement, CANU said that as a result of the findings of an investigation, there was a serious breach of its standard operating procedures or SOPs, and as a result, recommendations for the immediate dismissal of the officer in question have been forwarded to the minister. CANU said also, and I quote, "It should be noted that this officer's conduct does not reflect what the unit stands for and should not be used as an indicator of the conduct of the many hard-working and professional officers of the unit who daily perform their duties with a high level of integrity. CANU regrets this unfortunate incident and wishes to assure the public that no acts of indiscipline and unprofessionalism will be condoned." End quote. The public is reminded that CANU welcomes feedback and can be contacted on 227-3507 or 226-0431. The Ministry of Public Infrastructure met with the Board of Directors of the Berbice Bridge Company, Incorporated, BBCI, today, where they discussed the way forward for the maintenance of the 6 pontoons the government of Ghana had budgeted for in the year 2019. Minister David Patterson outlined 3 phenomena going forward for the benefit of both the private company, BCI, and the government of Ghana for the Guyanese populace. Coming out of the meeting, the following were suggested. A jack-up barge would be put in place. BBCI and the Demerara Harbour Bridge Incorporation would be expected to provide an estimated cost and time frame for the commencement of works on the pontoons. BBCI would examine the question of the risk factor for the operation of the bridge. BBCI and the Ministry of Public Infrastructure would then meet within 10 days to discuss their findings and or report on the operations of the aforementioned issues. And in other news, the Federation of Independent Trade Unions of Ghana, FITOG, says Guyanese people will see from today another burden placed on their overburdened backs as the Ghana Water Incorporated, GWI, prepares to impose another round of water rate hikes. The newest increase has seen the cost of water rising significantly. FITOG has calculated that unmetered customers will see their monthly rates going up by approximately 200% as apart from the increased charges, will also have a 14% VAT added to that. They said in a statement, and I quote, "For the ordinary workers and their families, it's a cost they can ill afford, but a service that they cannot do without either." End quote, the statement added. The trade union umbrella body said there has been a huge increase in the cost of water pails in comparison to the utterances about pay rises it imposed for public sector workers. As such, FITOG said the imposition of higher water rates also cannot be disconnected from the multitude of hikes in the cost in other services and products. According to that organization, data emanating from the most recently available Bureau of Statistics statistical bulletin indicates that between March 2016 and September of 2018, that the cost of white rice has risen by 30%, flour went up by 29%, sugar was up by 27%, cooking gas rose by 24%, and salt increased by 83%. Indeed, the meager improvements workers were given have been eaten away, Pittock added. At the same time, the Bureau's Guyana Labor Force Survey report in 2018, released in June this year, indicates that unemployment rate rose from 12.2% at the end of 2017 to 13.8% at the end of 2018. In the same period, youth unemployment rose from 22.9% to 25.6%. The report also disclosed that earnings of workers also declined during that period. A man who threw his 18-month-old niece through a window, then buried her in a backyard back in September in 2017, was sentenced to life in prison when he appeared in the High Court today. Sherwin Roberts, 22 of Sophia, pleaded guilty to the lesser count of manslaughter and told the court that he was angry with himself at the time and should not have taken it out on the baby. The baby was hurled through a window of a shack where she and her underage siblings resided. She was buried alive by Roberts, who was back then recently released from prison. Her body, which was then covered with pieces of wood, mud, and slush, was pulled from the 3 feet deep muddy grave about half hour after. The grave was located just below the window through which her body was flung. The cause of her death was given as suffocation. Justice Joanne Barlow handed down the life sentence and indicated that parole can only be possible after 20 years. Remember to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest news in Guyana, the Caribbean, and around the world. Join us after these messages for more news with Shakima Day.
To keep up with breaking news in Guyana, the rest of the Caribbean, and on the international scene, like, follow, and subscribe to Globespan 24x7's Facebook and YouTube news page. Join the conversation, get live news on the go, and news and details right here on Globespan 24x7 News.
Globespan 24/7 has vacancies for full-time positions such as reporters, newscasters, and news editors. Persons serious about joining a new and dynamic news team are asked to send their application to careers@globespantechnology.com. TravelSpan is pleased to announce special fares from New York to Guyana for Christmas. Seats are available to travel, and depending on which dates you choose, fares range from $8.49 to $11.69. These are limited block seats on American Airlines non-stop flight from JFK to Guyana. Call 718-845-0437. That's 718-845-0437. Or book online at travelspan.com. TravelSpan does have a payment plan, so travel plans, call TravelSpan.
Welcome back, and thank you. And now for more news. We'll tell you now that 2 men accused of the murders of 89-year-old Constance Fraser and 77-year-old Phyllis Caesar finally confessed to their gruesome crime. Both Imran Khan, 27, and Stephen Andrews, 28, were slapped with 2 counts of murder, but the men decided to plead guilty to the lesser count of manslaughter as they appeared before High Court Judge Justice Sandil Kasoon at the High Court. The duo admitted to murdering the women between October 2 and 3, 2017, at their lot 243 South Road and Albert Street home during the course of a robbery. The 2 elderly women were discovered dead on October 3, 2017, at their home in South Road and Albert Street, Georgetown. The autopsy revealed that the 2 women died of asphyxiation due to suffocation and manual strangulation compounded by trauma to the head. The men were arrested days later and charged for the gruesome crime. The men were represented by attorney at law Keoma Griffith, while the state defense was prosecutor Abigail Gibbs. The matter was adjourned until October 24, 2019, for a probation report and sentencing. Meanwhile, in light of the recent floods that have affected several villages across the country, the Civil Defense Commission has dispatched several teams to monitor the situation and bring relief to those affected.
Villages along the coast of regions 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 have been affected by the recent spring tide. The Ministry of Public Infrastructure has already clarified that there have been no major breaches of the country's sea and river defenses. However, Maikoni is the only exception since the earthen embankment is already vulnerable and has ongoing riprap sea defense works. The Civil Defense Commission has dispatched several teams to monitor the situation in affected villages, especially in Region 5. Some 20 cash crop and livestock farmers are affected by floods as a result of above normal high tides, with rice cultivated plots being inundated. One team led by CDC Senior Response Officer Captain Salim October visited and distributed water and cleaning detergents to assist residents in returning their homes to normalcy. The areas were visited were High Dam, Danzig, Glazers, Lust, and Prospect. This is being done in collaboration with the regional administration. The Ministry of Public Infrastructure and the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority have provided excavators to widen channels to alleviate some of the flood waters. The Guyana Livestock Development Authority and the Mahika Maikoni Aberi are also assisting farmers. On Monday, Cinco Limited handed over 45 cases of antibacterial soap to the CDC as part of the cut. On Monday, the Cinco Limited handed over 45 cases of antibacterial soap to the CDC as part of its Cooperate social responsibility that will be distributed to the affected communities. The company plans to lend its support to 60 families affected by drought in Canapang. The CDC, the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, and other agencies are monitoring and evaluating the spring tide phenomenon across the country. An aerial assessment exercise aboard a GDF helicopter of a float hit Maikoni was done Monday afternoon by Lieutenant Colonel Craig. The above normal high tide remains in effect until Wednesday. Persons are urged to take necessary precautions and take heed to the health advisory. Reporting for Globespan 24x7 News, Abel Harris.
Thank you, Abel. Meanwhile, the Civil Defense Commission Director General Lieutenant Colonel Kester Craig this morning received a check valued $1 million from Chang's Global Enterprise to aid in flood relief efforts in the Essequibo Islands, West Demerara. Open quote, the CDC is always happy when civil society comes on board and supports relief efforts. This donation is a timely one and will be used to primarily provide relief to the residents of Region 3 who were severely impacted by flooding, starting with the community of Zeelat later this afternoon. End quote. He said at a simple presentation ceremony held at the CDC's headquarters, Thomas Lands, Georgetown. Tansy Plowell, who spoke on behalf of the company, said that this donation was one that the company was pleased to make. Open quote, we at Chang's Global Enterprise fully supports the efforts being done by the CDC, and we are thankful to be a part of this. And this donation is a reflection of that, she said. Many homes in Zeelat, Den Amstel, Blankenberg, Fellowship, Cornelia Ida, and Anna Katrina and Iflot Ocean View were inundated early last Saturday due to the overtopping of the seawall caused by the high tides. You'll hear now that GTT's first Pinktober activity at Cancer Care Symposium was held earlier today at the Duke Lodge. The symposium aims to provide a platform for survivors, caregivers, patients, and healthcare professionals to speak of the challenges in other areas of cancer care management in Guyana. PAHU WHO representative here in Guyana, Dr. William Adukro, in his address to the attendees, revealed that an important factor affecting the survival rate of breast cancer victims is the lack of early detection facilities, especially in less developed countries.
We talk about one MRI, one mammogram. I think in the country of 750,000, we need more than that. We need a mammogram in all the regions, in each of the major hospital regions. I know that's a good start.
Early detection is important since healthcare providers may be able to save the life of thousands of women who get regular checkups and breast exams when they think something is amiss.
Early detection in order to improve breast cancer outcomes and survival remains the cornerstone of breast cancer control. Limited resource settings with weak health systems, where breast cancer incidence is relatively high and the majority of women are diagnosed in late stage, have the option to implement early diagnosis programs. I think that's what we need. Low-cost screening approaches are available, such as clinical breast exams. These could be implemented in very low-resource settings.
Meanwhile, GTT's Chief Executive Officer Justin Ned relayed that the Pinktober project is important to the company and serves as a means to drive change and bring awareness to breast cancer.
It is important for us to be connected to drive things like early detection, right through to palliative care.
Among the other Pinktober activities slated are the 5 and 10K walk and run, which will be hosted on October 26. The event brings together a diverse range of stakeholders to walk in recognition of cancer awareness, and also the Live Aware, Live Beautiful, an ongoing initiative throughout the month that will provide small businesses with the opportunity to indulge patients, caregivers, and survivors who were affected in some way by breast cancer. Meanwhile, the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit is presently hosting an annual week-long training session for staff of the local drug enforcement agency, with the aim of curbing the trafficking rates downwards. Deputy Head of CANU, Leslie Ramlal, noted that while strides have been made and continued focus is being placed on the conventional narcotics, the agency is now being plagued with the emergence of a new threat.
In addition to this, the destruction of 5 fentanyl laboratories within the last 3 years in one country is a clear indication that the use of synthetic drugs is now a new but rapidly expanding phenomenon within our region. And so it leaves us to ponder what should be our approach to such a trend.
The session is being held under the theme Stemming the Flow of Narcotics to Capacity Building and Interagency Collaborations. Vice President and Minister of Public Security, Hemraj Ramchatan, who addressed the forum, also alluded to the effects that drug trafficking has on a society.
I want to tell you that it corrupts governments. It corrupts the commercial sector of a society. It corrupts the law enforcement. This thing called drugs. The people behind it also do not care as to the consequences of what happens to young children and even adults that become addicted. They don't care.
Minister Ramchatan said drug trafficking remains a business and those involved are only concerned about their profits. He went on to detail some of the other far-reaching effects of what's deemed as scourge on Guyana that distorts the economy.
Your economy looks better when so much drugs money flowing around it and in it. And then some people feel that that's a lovely economy to have. It distorts it by virtue of so much money being in it, and you feel that your economy is doing well. It's not. It disincentivizes people wanting to invest in the country because they feel that this is a drug territory.
The Public Security Ministry said there are statistics to prove that this is true. The minister stressed that there is also a cultural negative attached to the drug industry.
And then the principles of a good society where wealth must be accumulated as a matter of, because of working, you have all of that being toppled over, capsized, for the purpose of now just getting so much money for doing a drug run.
Minister Ramchatan said the drug fight is not an easy one, with larger and more capable nations still waging a war on what is now becoming a corporate business that spawns a variety of criminal activities. We'll tell you now that the International Day of Older Persons is observed on October 1 each year. With that in mind, the government, through a collaborative effort between the Ministry of Social Protection and the Commission for the Elderly, are hosting observances to celebrate what has been declared, the month of the elderly. Here's that report.
The community of Baggotsville on the west bank of Demerara saw the beginning of this month's activities, with elderly villagers being treated to breakfast. Chairwoman for the Commission of the Elderly, Everett De Leon, said the Commission saw the necessity for the idea.
Well, actually, when you get old, it's like if you get back like a child. And even though you would tell pensioners not to come here early in the morning, they would still come because they have the notion that the money would finish and they wouldn't get their pension. Some persons, they're in dire need for this pension, so they don't sleep all night, sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning, they're out. And we recognize this fact, and we said that we will have to work along with them in ensuring that they have a breakfast. Because, as you would have heard, some of them would faint at some times. So we thought it necessary that a simple breakfast should be provided for our pensioners.
De Leon said that there are reports of a few pensioners who required medical attention after being subjected to the long wait, and as such, the breakfast initiative is most welcomed. She added that this will not be a one-time thing, and residents can look forward to breakfast being served every month. The chairperson further disclosed some of the intended plans for the elderly population of Guyana.
We have great plans for you. One of the plans that we have is, well, I don't know if you would benefit from it, because the new pensioners that are coming on, they will be given the opportunity to go to the bank and withdraw their money. So you don't really have to come here. You can go to the bank of your choice to receive your pension.
De Leon noted too that with the expected oil wealth, pensioners can look forward to a sizable increase in their monthly allocations. Another resident of Region 3, who also forms part of the Commission of the Elderly, Myrtle Caldera, said she felt responsible for having a feeding program in her region.
And it's a burning concern, you know. People say to you, you live in Region 3 and you can't have that program over here. Why only Georgetown? And why are you going to town? Let us have it here. And I picked up that challenge. I told the commission, you know, I said, it's my intention to have people work with me and to launch that program in Region 3. And because it's the month of the elderly, I said this is a very fitting time for me to get that done. All right.
Caldera further added that while it was the intention of the commission to have the program rolled out at 3 separate post offices in the region, due to the flooding, the Vidanu Post Office will begin their program in November. A few of the pensioners who were in hand for the event expressed their gratitude for the initiative.
I feel real happy, I feel real joyful, because we were waiting for this such a long time. But at last, with God, everything is possible, real possible. And today I'm happy, I'm proud.
I am very happy to know that y'all have chosen Baggotsville Post Office to launch this breakfast. Because most of our pensioners came out here from 3 o'clock in the morning just to get an orderly number that you could collect your 2 cents and get to go about your business. At many occasions, we have people getting bad feelings here. We have to hustle and rub them up and call their family to take them in. So this that y'all present to us here, I feel so proud about it.
The pensioners also took the time to highlight some of their other pressing needs, such as adequate washroom facilities and a first aid kit. On December 14, 1990, the United Nations General Assembly voted to establish October 1 as the International Day of Older Persons, as recorded in Resolution 45-106. The day was first observed for the first time on October 1, 1991. President Granger has, however, declared October 2019 Month of the Elderly. The theme for this year's observance is The Journey to Age Equality. For Globespan 24x7 News, this is Kingsley Bryan.
Thank you, Kingsley. In other news, residents of Lane Avenue, Georgetown, sang praises for the government today at the commissioning of a bridge that was constructed at the cost of $3 million. Councillor of Constituency 13, Tricia Richards, told the media at a simple ceremony held earlier today that the construction of the bridge commenced 2 weeks ago and was finally completed today.
This is a project that is in collaboration with the Ministry of Communities along with the Mayor City Council of Georgetown. This project is one that the ministry would have highlighted in Constituency 13. We had 4 projects being given subvention from the ministry in year 2019, 2 bridges on Lane Avenue and 2 grounds in East and West Roundbelt.
Richard stated that the project was mainly the rehabilitation of the Carty Bridge, one that was dilapidated and in no usable condition to the community for a number of years. Meanwhile, a resident, Kurt Williams, who has resided in the area for over 25 years, stated that the bridge will aid the school-aged children who were previously forced to take a longer route in order to get to school.
For example, the school children, they used to gotta walk all the way around to the next bridge. And if you take a look, you could see the condition of the bridge, And it used to be real hard trending. Them children gotta walk till so and thing. Now they're just walking right across it. Shortcut.
Gloria Griffith, an elderly resident in the area, also praised the initiative. Speaking on behalf of the elderly persons in the area, Griffith stressed that more improvement works need to be done in the community.
Development of the community, well, at least I'm focusing right now on this canal that has been cleaned. And I see the weeds started back again. I was so glad when it was clear. And now I see the weeds start again. And then towards the bridge there, they're not finished as yet. Because I noticed, there's the chair that down there normally will swamp. And the front here, so they'll have to come and do some work down there too.
If you have any news story to share, don't hesitate to contact us on our Guyana WhatsApp number at 592-640-7615. Now let's take a look at our bridge reports. We'll now take a short commercial break and be back with more news.
Amro's Travel Service is pleased to support Globespan 24x7 broadcasts. We provide travel solutions via our 4 locations in Trinidad. Shibonas at 665-3383, Valpa 645-1604, Port of Spain 625-0800, and San Fernando at 652-4789. Remember, when you travel, Amro's is the way to go.
Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned. We will now join Whitney Prasad at our studio in New York for regional and international news.
Thank you, Shakima. And now for news in the region. Member of the Association of Concerned Guyanese in Canada, Toronto, on Saturday staged a peaceful protest to voice their concerns regarding the current political crisis facing the Guyanese nation owing to what they call a dictatorship government. The group called on President Granger to respect the people and constitution of Guyana and move forward with a smooth election process.
Respect the constitution of Guyana. That is why we are here, asking for democracy to be returned to our country. After 28 long years of relentless struggle, our country have made some democratic development and we have advanced, and today, after that long bitter struggle, Guyana has been completely reversed back into a dictatorship. This is intolerable, this is disgusting, and that is why we are here to protest.
The group called on the Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM, to do their due diligence where free and fair elections is concerned. The group reiterated that Guyanese should be able to exercise their right in general and regional election without fear of doing so.
the international community to support in our country. We are not here necessarily to ask you to support the PPP or any party. We are here to ask that democracy be restored back into our country, and Guyanese people have the right to elect the government of their choice in a free and fair manner. Thank you.
Given GCOM's promised readiness in February of 2020, yesterday President David Granger issued 2 proclamations for the holding of general and regional elections on Monday, March 2nd, 2020 in Guyana. Today, the Trinidad and Tobago national flag flew on the NASQUAD board in Times Square, New York City, as Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley rang the bell to start the trading day. Rowley used the opportunity to invite everyone to visit Trinidad and Tobago as he lauded the island's chocolate, music, and Pitch Lake. He described the NASQUAD bell-ringing ceremony as historic and auspicious occasion, while emphasizing that Trinidad and Tobago's largest trading partner is the United States. The Prime Minister said the island looked forward to a continued close working relationship with the United States and the people of the U.S. Rowley said Trinidad and Tobago may be small, but is definitely not insignificant. And officers of the Northeastern Division Task Force arrested 3 people on Saturday night after they were found selling marijuana-infused brownies and cookies in Arima, Trinidad and Tobago. One of whom is believed to be a teacher at the University of the West Indies, along with 2 students, were held at around 7:30 p.m. at Farfan Street. Acting on information, the officers went to a named location and found the trio allegedly offering the items for sale to interested persons. Following the arrest, officers carried out searches at the homes of the 3 and seized a quantity of items pertaining to the creation, packaging, and distribution of the products. The trio remained in custody on Saturday night and was being questioned up to yesterday. They were to appear before an Arima magistrate this morning. The Bahamas government says it will deport undocumented immigrants who survived the passage of Hurricane Dorian on September 1st and are now living in shelters. Immigration Minister Ellsworth Johnson says the shelters will not be used to circumvent the law. According to him, there's an Immigration Act, and the Immigration Act is in full effect. The Category 5 storm, with winds in excess of 180 miles, slammed into the Bahamas, killing at least 56 people and causing widespread destruction, mainly on Grand Bahama and Abacos Island. The government-appointed coordinator of hurricane relief efforts in Abaco also warned undocumented immigrants against any plan of returning to the island. Soon after the hurricane swept through the region, Johnson had announced that the government would not carry out immigration exercise as shelters for hurricane victims were opened. Taking a look at what's happening on the international scene, New York City's Commission on Human Rights announced on Thursday that residents could face up to $250,000 in fines if they use terms such as illegal alien with an intent to demean, humiliate, or harass a person. The city tweeted on Thursday, "Hate has no place here." In its announcement, the city listed a number of offensive ways to address immigrants, including threatening to call Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE or harassing someone for their limited English proficiency. It clarified that calling ICE with a discriminatory motive was a violation. It was not immediately clear what New York City would consider a call to ICE lacking in discriminatory motive. According to a new poll, the Trudeau Liberals offside with a good number of Canadians. Canadians remain supportive of immigration, the kind done through regular channels, but have a big concern when it comes to people crossing the border illegally at places like Roxanne Road in Quebec. Those are the findings of a poll conducted by Dark Maru Blue Voice of Canada poll. While Canadians give Trudeau Liberals decent marks on the handling of regular channel immigrants and those who seek refugee status through normal channels, 2/3 think the government is doing a bad job of handling those who walk across at what government calls irregular points of entry. In January 2017, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau posted his infamous #Welcome to Canada tweet, and more than 50,000 people have crossed Canada's border illegally from the United States to claim refugee status. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson says the government is offering the EU very constructive and far-fetching proposals to break the Brexit impasse. In an interview with the BBC, the Prime Minister confirmed the UK's plan would include some custom checks on the island of Ireland after Brexit, but they would be absolutely minimal and won't involve new infrastructure. The EU says it has not received any proposals from the UK yet, that could replace the backstop.
A very good offer. We're going to make a very good offer. We're going to be tabling it formally very soon. But there is a difficulty if you try to keep Northern Ireland in the customs union. We're not going to be producing now the proposals that we'll be tabling in Brussels, because that's what you've just recited is an example of the kind of ways in which this thing can get confused, and people can, I think, needlessly distort what we're proposing, and then conversations can become more difficult.
Mr. Johnson has said the exit will go ahead with or without a deal, despite MPs passing a law last month forcing him to ask for an extension from the EU if Parliament hasn't voted in favour of a specific deal or leaving without one. The UK is set to leave the EU on October 31st this year. And Xi Jinping has recently emphasized unity, development, and strength as he addressed the world on the 70th anniversary of the People's Republic of China on Tuesday, saying, open quote, "There is no force that can shake the foundation of this great nation," end quote. Standing in Beijing, the president declared the founding of the PRC on October 1st, 1949. Xi added, quote, "Today, a socialist China is standing in front of the world," end quote. Xi's address was heavy on nationalist stroke, playing into the long-term Communist Party narrative of lifting China from the century of humiliation it suffered under the Qing dynasty amid invasion by colonial powers, including the United Kingdom and Japan. And the kingdom's ambassador to India, Saud bin Mohammed Al Sati, recently said Saudi Arabia is looking to make investments in India, potentially worth $100 billion in the areas of energy, refining, petrochemicals, infrastructure, agriculture, minerals, and mining. Infrastructure is one of the sectors which get the highest foreign direct investment, FDI, inflows in the verticals such as township construction, development projects, and housing were recorded at $25.5 billion. In August, the Union Cabinet allowed 100% FDI in coal mining and related infrastructure activity. The government has been burning midnight oil to stabilize the economy in the past few months and has given a massive push to the infrastructure sector by allocating monies towards the last budget. And human rights body Amnesty International says an investigation has found that a U.S. airstrike in Somalia in March killed civilians and not militants, as the U.S. Africa Command, AFRICOM, alleged at the time. It says that the U.S. failed to investigate claims that 3 victims were farmers and had no ties with Islamist militant group. The 3 men were returning from their farms to their home in the Lower Shabelle region where the car was targeted. 11 people were interviewed, including co-workers and family members of the men killed, and they were adamant that none of them were members of Al-Shabaab. AFRICOM said in March that its assessment had determined that the airstrike had killed 3 terrorists, and it was aware of reports of civilian casualties. And finally, to end the news, after a short-lived rally towards $1,535 a troy ounce last week, gold has shot all its gains, having fallen below the psychological importance level of $1,500 an ounce early this week. In the coming days, the yellow metal is likely to remain stuck around this low level. Affirming U.S. dollar signs of easing trade tension between the U.S. and China, better Chinese trade data, and the continuing concerns over Asia demand have combined to weigh on the market. At the same time, ETF inflows have steadily increased to multi-year highs, having touched 2,500 tons, the highest since February of 2013. Coming up now is Kumar Doshi from our studio in India with today's Tech Beat. Do you have unanswered questions about your smartphone and its random access memory, or RAM as we call it? Well, join Kumar Doshi for more on this. I'm Whitney Prasad reporting from New York, handing you over to Kumar right now.
Thank you, Whitney. Namaste, salam, good day everyone.
Thanks for tuning into Tech Beat right here on Globespan 24x7, and I'm Kumar Doshi coming to you from India. Today I'm going to tell you more about smartphone memory. A number of smartphones are introduced every year by various companies like Google, Samsung, OnePlus, etc. When you look at the spec sheets of these phones, you would notice that memory of the newly launched phones is increasing year after year. This trend of increasing memory in the smartphones has picked up speed, especially in the last 3 to 4 years as the technology improves. For example, the recently launched Galaxy Note 10 Plus and OnePlus 7 Pro has up to 12 gigabytes of memory. But do we need that much memory for our daily use? First, we need to understand what memory is. Memory is used to temporarily hold the data in a phone that is currently being used. That way, the speed of the storage doesn't become a bottleneck that slows the whole system down. In the context of a phone, a chunk of app's data is loaded into the memory as soon as the app is launched. This means more memory you have, the faster your app could be open. So back to the question, do we need 12 gigabytes of memory? It depends. If the user is a heavy gamer or the phone is used for such memory-hungry tasks, it makes sense to have more memory. But otherwise, there is hardly any sense shelling out so much extra money for something that's not required. In most cases, 4 to 6 gigabytes should be enough for light to medium users. Only if you want your phone to age well, that is, if you need extra headroom for future-proof your phone, you could invest in higher-end smartphones with up to 10 or 12 gigabytes of memory. Sometimes companies tune and optimize the software in such a way that your phones could run smoothly for 3 to 4 years with less memory. Apple's iOS is the best example of such a software. Apple uses their proprietary software that is iOS instead of Android, which gives them a complete control over the software integration with the hardware. This means iPhones and iPads could run smoothly with less memory for at least 4 years without any hiccups. That's all for today's Tech Beat. I'm Kumar Doshi and back to the studio in Guyana for more news to come. Thanks for watching. See you soon.
Thanks, Kumar. And that has brought us to the end of today's news. Before we go, here's a recap of our major headlines. GCOM commissioners torn over timeline for claims and objections exercise. President Granger issues proclamations for March to 2020 elections. Sapphire man given life sentence for murder of his 18-month-old niece. CDC continues to monitor flood situation caused by high tides, and lack of early detection facilities affects breast cancer survival rate. Thanks for watching Globespan 24/7 News. On behalf of myself, my apologies. We'll now shift our attention to sport news with Kingsley Bryan.
Thanks, Samuel. Now for a look at what's happening in sports. We'll tell you that USA's Felix breaks Usain Bolt's record for being the athlete awarded with the most gold medals. USA Olympic sprinter Felix broke Bolt's record on Sunday after winning her 12th gold medal at the World Championships on the mixed gender 4x400 meter relay team. She now holds the record for the most gold medals at the Track and Field World Championships. Felix is already one of the most decorated track and field athletes, winning a combined 9 medals between each of her 4 Olympic Games. 6 of the medals are gold. Felix summed up her response to the honor in one word on Twitter, in humbled. This marks another big accomplishment for Felix, since this is her first season as a mother. But her journey back to the track has not been an easy one. In November 2018, Felix battled pre-eclampsia and underwent an emergency C-section at 32 weeks to deliver her daughter. Not only is she going to her 5th Olympic Games, but in August, the new mom was part of a high-profile movement that pressured Nike to change long-standing maternity policies for its sponsored athletes. Along with decorated women runners, including Alicia Montano, Cara Goucher, and Phoebe Wright, Felix successfully got the brand to adapt its policy, which now ensures female athletes won't be adversely impacted financially for pregnancy for 18 months, which is 6 months more than under the previous policy. Felix put Nike behind her and is now the first athlete to be sponsored by Athleta, according to parent company Gap Incorporated. Now, the world can watch Felix run in Tokyo for the 2020 Olympics. And turning our attention now to CPL, the undefiant Warriors sealed their top spot after 8 straight wins. The Ghana Amazon Warriors extended their perfect 2019 Hero CPL campaign to 8 wins from 8 matches, with a 19-run win over defending champions, the Trinbago Knight Riders, at the Queen's Park Oval, despite Kieran Pollard and Darren Bravo briefly threatening to pull off a nerve-wracking upset. The Knight Riders appeared dead and buried at 91 for 4, with just 6 overs remaining, and still needed 94 more to overhaul the Warriors' 185 for 6. But Pollard and Bravo went on a voracious 6-hitting spree that almost dragged the unlikeliest of wins out of the fire for the TKR. They came up short, though, with Kimo Paul's 19th over, in which only singles came from the last 5 balls, easing the Warriors' fraying nerves before Tahir bowled Pollard for a sensational 71 from 38 balls, with 3 balls to go and 21 still needed to at last finish the contest. The final winning margin of 19 runs also highlighted the significance of Mario Shepard's late cameo with the bat. In the Warriors' innings, he smashed 32 from 13, with 2 sixes and a 4 to finish it off, as 25 came from Chris Jordan's closing over. Yet another win for the Warriors means they have now guaranteed themselves top spot in the regular season, with 2 games to spare, while the Knight Riders still have work to do to secure their own place in the top 2 and the safety net of a place in Qualifier 1. 1 win from their 2 remaining games will do it. And internationally, a top athletics coach has been banned for 4 years. High-profile athletics coach Alberto Salazar has been banned for 4 years for multiple anti-doping rule violations. The American is head coach of the Nike Oregon Project, or NOP, the prolific long-distance running group that has produced some of the world's best athletes, including 4-time Olympic gold medalist Mo Farah, who Salazar coached between 2011 and 2017. Salazar, 61 years old, and Jeffrey Brown, a consultant doctor for the NOP, were ruled to have trafficked testosterone, tampered with the doping control process, and administered a banned intravenous infusion. He was suspended by the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency after a 4-year investigation. The Cuban-born Salazar enjoyed a distinguished athletics career, winning the New York Marathon for 3 consecutive years, between 1980 to 1982. He also held American track records over 5,000 and 10,000 meters. The news comes during a grim week for the sport of athletics, with poor attendance levels at the World Championships in Doha, Qatar. And that has brought us to the end of sports for today. Join us tomorrow as we keep you updated on what's happening in the sporting arena. Back to you, Samuel.
Thanks, Kingsley. We do apologize for the mix-up a bit earlier. Before we go, here's a recap of our major headlines. GCOM Commissioner's torn over timeline for claims and objections exercise. President Granger issues proclamations for March 2, 2020 elections. Sapphire man given life sentence for murder of his 18-month-old niece. CDC continues to monitor flood situation caused by high tides. And lack of early detection facilities affects breast cancer survival rate, says PAHO WHO. Thank you for watching Globespan 24x7 News. On behalf of myself, Samuel Sukdan, and the news and technical team, until next time, do have a pleasant rest of the evening. Goodbye for now.